Well, hey everybody, welcome back, and kind of a serious topic today, but it's one that is definitely worth covering. I think more people need to be talking about it because this is a recurring issue in the United States that doesn't seem to be getting better, no matter how many people are talking about it, no matter how many times we see it. It's the same old story time and time again, and something is going to have to give. Something's going to have to change. So, if you're not sure what I'm talking about, there was an incident just a day or two ago on a subway, and of course, you can see from the headline here from the New York Post, Trump rages over the ending of the life of Ukrainian refugee Iryna Zarutska, says horrific endings require horrible actions. And of course, the article says President Trump on Monday offered his condolences to the family of the Ukrainian refugee Iryna Zarutska and vowed to confront the evil people in society after he was shown the shocking video of her being hacked to pieces on a train in Charlotte, North Carolina. There are evil people, and we have to confront that. I just give my love and hope to the family of the young woman who had her life ended this morning or last night in Charlotte by a madman, Trump told reporters. A lunatic just got up and started. It's right on tape, not really watchable because it's so horrible. But it was vicious. She's sitting there. They're evil people. We have to be able to handle that. We don't handle that. We don't have a country. But again, I don't know that Trump's actually going to handle this, and I say that as somebody who's voted for him. I don't know that this is going to be something that Trump actually has the power or the willpower to do anything about. Of course, the president also referenced the recent mass incident at a Catholic school in Minneapolis, which left 2 children's lives ended, as well as a dozen wounded, and pledged to end senseless violence. I don't know how he's going to plan to do that in a blue state where they don't have common sense. I say common sense gun laws as in stop having soft targets, stop having places that are easy to attack. Benny Johnson says she ran from war in Ukraine. She came here for safety, and America failed her. 23-year-old Iryna Zarutska was butchered on a Charlotte light rail. By a violent repeat offender who had been arrested 14 times and was still free. This is the shocking part. This is part of what I want to get into more. Not just so much about the details of what happened to this poor girl, but the actions that led up to it. So, of course, you can see from right here, the White House put out an official statement. Just kind of what he talked about previously in this interview. Says the perpetrator was a well-known career criminal who had been previously arrested and released on cashless bail in January a total of 14 times. How somebody like this gets out 14 times is beyond me. From Right Angle News Network says breaking, it has been revealed that the Charlotte City Council paused their meeting on the light rail incident for an hour to hold a mini birthday celebration and eat cake for one of the council members. And of course, somebody down here shared a video of the Charlotte City Council. And it's very interesting when you see the demographics of who is actually on this council. It makes a lot of sense why they would not be concerned about the tragic loss of life of a beautiful white woman to the senseless violence of a career criminal black man. It's very telling. And of course, you can see from Publius on Twitter, the magistrate judge Teresa Stokes, who released 14-time criminal Decarlos Brown Jr., is also the director of operations at Second Chance Services, a mental health and addiction clinic in Charlotte, North Carolina. Does this judge release violent criminals into her treatment center to get paid by a government contract to investigate this racket? This is a very interesting question. Now, the thing about this is there is a community note on this, and the reason for the community note is that it says additional context. Judge Teresa Stokes released Decarlos Brown in January 2025, pending trial for misuse of 911, which is a misdemeanor, so it doesn't really matter. Technically, this is correct. When she released this psychopath, this complete piece of crap, back to the streets, it was over a misdemeanor. But again, the man has been arrested 14 times, okay? Sarah Fields saying there should be only one mugshot, and you can see this is the same guy year after year, over and over, being arrested for multiple crimes. Of course, some bitch I know on Twitter saying, in response to why does this make you so emotional, I'm not desensitized to brutality enough to not be horrified by a 23-year-old woman having her life ended openly in public space. And it's true, this is where a lot of us are. It's like we see senseless violence on a daily basis, but it only seems like one way where this is not completely like causing meltdowns and riots. If it was a black woman, and I hate to do the if the shoe was on the other foot stuff. I know it gets to be a bit tiring, and it doesn't do anybody any good, and for some people it's like, this is such a stupid argument. But if it was a black woman having her life ended by a career criminal white man, you can bet your ass that there would be cities burning down right now. Howling Mutant says crimes like these are so stupid and impulsive that the death penalty doesn't serve as a deterrent because these people barely think, but we should still do it. And I don't even think that that's necessarily a wrong or a racist thing to say, because it's true. If you look at the average IQ of people who spend their lives in and out of jails, they're borderline retarded. Like, if we're being straight up honest about it, I mean, their IQ level is damn near like below or near the retardation line. Okay. And the funny thing too, or let's say less funny, more predictable, is that the media doesn't seem to be covering any of this. Brianna Morello sharing a screenshot from Axios saying, Grizzly Charlotte stabbing video fuels MAGA's crime message. Of course, you can see a longer one from Axios here from Salty Cracker saying they're mad we're covering the stories they tried to ignore for 3 days. Axios saying the gruesome video of the fatal knife attack on Iryna Zarutska on a light rail car in Charlotte is drawing attention from MAGA influencers seeking to elevate the issue of violent urban crime and accuse mainstream media of undercovering shocking cases. Well, it's a reality. They do undercover it. Native Patriot says when a black criminal dies versus when a black criminal kills. Sharing side-by-side screenshots of course, the Associated Press with 74,000 results for the AP for George Floyd and no results for Iryna Zarutska. Again, this could just be a meme. I have not verified this for myself, but there's no community note on this, so that is very telling as well. Then, of course, you see a lot of people sharing this screenshot right now of the alleged victim in a room where there's a BLM sign on the door. Unfortunately, this has been cropped to where it's not even her room, and it's been verified via Instagram that there are pictures of her in her room, and this is not one of them. So again, if she was in a friend's house that had a BLM thing on the door, in no way did she deserve what happened to her simply for being in a bedroom at one point where a BLM sign was present. Again, look, we have really retarded people in America when it comes to politics and the political movements they get sucked into. Somebody having a BLM sign does not mean that they deserve to have their life ended. I'm sorry. I don't think that that's that big of a hot take. Of course, Kaguya's Top Gal saying the supposed picture of Iryna Zarutska's bedroom with a BLM poster is not her. I think it's more that it's not her bedroom is what the situation there is. Then, of course, you have Governor Josh Stein of North Carolina. I'm heartbroken for the family of Iryna Zarutska who lost their loved ones to this senseless act of violence, and I'm appalled by the footage of her ending. We need more cops on the beat to keep people safe. That's where my budget calls for more funding to hire more well-trained police officers. I call upon legislature to pass my law enforcement recruitment and retention package to address vacancies in our state and local agencies. This doesn't stop anything. More cops doesn't stop it. Finally understanding that allowing career criminals to walk free and prey on people who are more or less defenseless, that's the problem. Having more cops that are going to arrest the same people over and over again only to have them turned loose by corrupt DAs and judges, that's not going to fix the problem. Luke Farley, Labor Commissioner for North Carolina, says of all the terrible things in this tragedy, one detail really stands out to me. This young woman had her life ended on her way home from work. If you look closely, she's wearing a work uniform, a t-shirt and hat from a pizza place. She came here looking for a better life, took a job in the service industry, just looking at her phone on her commute home, and this guy decided to end her life for no apparent reason. But Mary King coming in with some facts and data, and this is, I think, a very important thing to talk about that's not very comfortable for a lot of people, but I think we damn near just need to talk about, drive this point home every chance we get, okay? He says, you want to know something that should make you very uncomfortable. White people are victims of black violence at insanely disproportionate rates. It's not even close. Between 2017 and 2021, black-on-white violent incidents totaled 2.38 million. White on black totaled 0.37 million, a ratio of 6.4 to 1. Annual victimization rates per 1,000 whites by blacks, 2.4, blacks by whites, 1.8. Per capita, and again, there's this term per capita that seems to not... It's something that a certain demographic and percentage of people in this country cannot grasp, is the understanding of the term per capita. Per capita, offending rates per 1,000. Blacks against whites, 11.6. Whites against blacks, 0.38, ratio of 31 to 1. For homicides, FBI 2019, black on white, 566. White on black, 246, a ratio of 2.3 to 1. TLDR, a white person is 31 times more likely to be victimized by a black person than the other way around. Black people make up only 13.6% of the American population. Tell me we aren't being hunted. Sources, of course, are the BGS and CVS. And you can find many different sources for a lot of this stuff, and people are offended by this. But it is the harsh truth. It is the harsh reality that it's a very small demographic, very small percentage of this country that is committing a vastly disproportionate number of the violent crimes in America. And of course, this is a recurring theme. Like I said, I think this is something we really need to drive home because this is a recurring theme in America. Recently, just a couple days later after this incident on the light rail, pint-sized Auburn veterinary professor hacked to death by fiend while walking her dog in the park. Here is the victim. Let me see if they have a picture of the criminal. Here he is in all of his glory. Of course, Kershaw responding to this person saying, people talking about situational awareness like it's perfectly normal to sit down in a train and spend the entire ride assessing angles of attack rather than reading a book or checking your messages. I don't know why you people want to live in a post-apocalyptic nightmare, but I would simply rather not. And Kershaw says, we don't want to live in a nightmare. Reality doesn't give a shit what you want. It just is. You can either adapt to reality and live or be ignorant of the way things are and die. And again, this right here. Gal goes for a walk with her dog, gets hacked to death. Girl goes home on a train ride, from work, gets slashed. You have example after example. Dorian Johnson, Michael Brown's friend who spread the false hands up, don't shoot claim, has been shot to death in Ferguson, Missouri. Dorian Johnson was with Michael Brown the day that he was shot. Earlier that day, Johnson was also with Brown when Brown robbed a convenience store. Now this man's life is over, probably by somebody of the same demographic. Native Patriot again saying black fatigue is not caused by racism. It's caused by body cams and free speech. Without these, the narrative is painted however they want. When we get transparency and truth, the accusation of racism falls flat. I don't hate melanated skin. I hate black American culture. And again, this is coming from a guy who's a native. He's not even white. So again, I think that he's trying to be as objective as possible. Of course, we've got the Carmelo Anthony case going on, the woman that was beat with her husband or boyfriend. I believe it was in Louisiana just a few weeks back. Multiple incidents where people just randomly attack cops. I mean, it's always the same demographic over and over. Here's another one from I Mean Therefore I Am. Just another murder the national media ignored because it doesn't fit the narrative. In May, Logan Frederico, a 22-year-old college student, was visiting a friend in North Carolina when a career criminal, Alexander Dickey, went on a violent rampage. He broke into her friend's house and ended her life. Dickey had nearly 40 prior arrests. In 2023, despite a long history of burglary, he was given probation for what should have been his third conviction. He was sentenced to 5 years, but served only 411 days. Absolutely unacceptable. Now you have police releasing mugshots of the quote-unquote teens accused of ending the life of a Capitol Hill intern in Washington, D.C. Victim was a 21-year-old male, and of course, look at the perpetrators. Sorry for how loud that is, guys. I apologize. Again, same story, different day. Over and over and over again. And of course, bringing back up Shiloh Hendricks, because Shiloh Hendricks was canceled and is now facing charges over a word. And I don't necessarily support Shiloh Hendricks calling a little boy the N-word, for just so we're clear on this. I think that that's one of those things that it's funny online, but in real life, I would not support that kind of crap. But I don't think her entire life needs to be ended over it. I don't have a problem with her having the GoFundMe or GiveSendGo that she had. I don't have a problem with her, saying what she said. I just personally wouldn't do it. It's that simple. Shiloh Hendricks is facing charges brought by the city of Rochester attorneys for saying a word. The mayor of Charlotte gave a speech calling for empathy for the mentally ill instead of speaking about the victim having had her life ended. And then, of course, Darrell Brooks. Y'all remember Darrell Brooks from Waukesha, the Christmas parade killer? In July of 2020, he was charged with 3 felonies, one of them for shooting his own nephew. I don't know if he ended his life or not. Cash bond was set at $10,000 in July. In August, it was lowered to $7,500. In February 2021, it was adjusted all the way down to $500. That cash bond was posted in May. 6 months later, he murdered 6 people and injured 62 at the parade. There was a GoFundMe to raise bail for this monster. 5 days ago, Brooks requested another extension to his appeal. And of course, what do black people on TikTok have to say about this? Well, essentially, thoughts on Decarlos Brown. He is the natural response to 400 plus years of white oppression. Expect more, just like him. The crazy thing, too, is I forgot to grab a screenshot of it. This Decarlos Brown guy actually had a GiveSendGo or a GoFundMe that was temporarily up and had actually raised a few donations, like a few bucks. Again, I don't think it was much money on there. But the man who violently, unprovoked, ended the life of the Ukrainian girl on the light rail actually had a freaking GoFundMe set up, and somebody was evil, sick, twisted, and demonic enough to actually donate to it. So again, guys, like I said, I think this is something that's really important to talk about. I know this video probably went on a little bit longer than normal, But this is just something that we keep seeing time and time again. And yes, I am not saying white people don't attack black people. I am not saying Asian people don't attack Mexicans. I'm not saying any of these things. Case by case basis, things happen, individual incidents happen. The problem is the overwhelming level of violent incidents, violent attacks, homicides, burglaries. It primarily happens from one demographic to the other disproportionately due to the number of people in this country of that demographic. Again, this is that per capita thing kicking in here, guys. And until people can come to grips with there being a problem within black culture itself that is causing this, nothing is ever going to change. Sure, I'm a believer everybody should be armed. Everybody should carry wherever they go as much as legally possible. And that will eventually cut down on some of the crime, but it won't fix the problems within the culture itself. So again, I think it's worth talking about. We need to keep hammering this point home until something changes. If you enjoyed this video, guys, please like, subscribe. I know the YouTube algorithm is kind of funky right now. Granted, I'm not uploading on this channel very much, but again, I appreciate you guys, and I will catch you on the next one. All right, and if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you for being here. I do have 2 channels, Minimal Effort Podcast, as well as my gaming channel. I do have a Twitch and Kick for my gaming channel. We do live streams over there occasionally, maybe once a week. And then if you are in the market for a new PC, make sure to check out Meta PCs. Click the link I have down below. Use code TBO at checkout for a special discount. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.